Sublime Soiree friends and part two of our interview with Dr. Heather Holleman. If you have not had a chance to watch part one, please go back and watch it on our YouTube channel, The Sublime Soiree.
Heather, as we mentioned in our video yesterday, we are just days away from the Thanksgiving holiday when people are going to be gathering around their dinner table with family and with friends. And so we were wondering what suggestions you might have so that we can really have great dinner conversations and truly connect with our loved ones.
I love this. This is such a good idea to talk about this because that's sort of on everyone's mind.
Yes.
In fact, a lot of what motivated me to write this book was to repair relationships that were damaged from 2020 on, even before 2020. I mean, my students would say, oh, I've canceled all my family members. I've blocked them on Facebook. I won't even go to Thanksgiving. Like, we don't talk anymore because they believe differently about vaccines or whatever it was. And I thought, okay, there's got to be a way we can come together. Part of it is the Holy Spirit's the spirit of unity, and it delights God when we have unity. It reflects the character of God. So here's my best advice. And this is what I'm doing too, as I move into holiday gatherings where I might be with people that believe different things. The first is keep your mindsets ahead of you. Ask the Holy Spirit to help you be curious, which I'll talk about in a second. What are the best questions we can ask? Believe the best about people. And what I mean by that is if someone comes to the holiday table and expresses an opinion that you find abhorrent and you're just horrified, instead of reacting, think about, okay, if I really want to change this person's mind, if I really want social change and starting around my family, what if I ask that person, tell me the story about why you believe that? When did that first happen for you? Would you say this is the thing you're most passionate about in your life? Get off the topic of the political position and move into the story about why. Or you could divert the question and, altogether and kind of say, yes, why don't we try to avoid political topics that are really heated for our family? You can put parameters on what would be okay at your holiday table. But remember, believe the best, express concern, instead of talking about, the position or whatever it is that comes up, you could say, you know what, these years have been really stressful. And I can tell that this is a stressor for you. And then move down the 6 pathways. And those are 6 categories of conversation that you can ask. So someone's expressing an opinion and you're feeling yourself getting all heated because you disagree with them. And maybe it's grandma or your uncle, whatever. Just say, this topic, I know it creates so much stress. I can tell how passionate you feel about it. And then say, who else do you share these opinions with? Go social. How does this stress affect your body? Did you find your body breaking down? Go to the physical, go to the emotional. Like, how do you find yourself overwhelmed with the emotions associated with this? Like, get it off the issue and just move down the pathways. And then whatever, as you're thinking about those things, expressing concern, you really can find maybe you move people from reactive brain states to responsive brain states. And then always remember to share your life. Just share your life in there. Just say, you know what? I love that we're talking about this, but I actually have something on my mind I'd like to share about something going on with me. And you can change the subject and talk about your life.
Right.
Heather, you also talk about the pitfalls and what to avoid in conversation. What do we not want to dish about around the
Well, one thing as I've interviewed people and talked to a lot of people, nobody likes advice giving. So when people are expressing things about their life, one of the ways to stay out of judgment is think, I'm not going to give advice here. Until someone says, Aunt Heather, what is your advice here? My job is to listen, to support, to make encouraging comments, to maybe ask how they want to be supported. Those are kind of the goals of conversation. So advice giving. Also complaining. Although young people like to be asked questions about what's frustrating them, they love to talk about what annoys them. Teenagers love it when you're like, oh my gosh, what trend is annoying you right now? They love doing that. But you want to avoid like complaining and just gossiping the whole time, because that you want to keep it's a holiday table. Think about Thanksgiving, rejoicing. And then the final thing is just that position of arrogance and superiority. And this is going to be hard for some of the listeners. what would happen if you decided that you weren't right on every issue? What if you decided maybe God wants me to think differently? Maybe this person in front of me, I can learn from them.
Yes.
So you're going to be humble. You're going to take on the nature of a servant. You're going to be teachable. Read Philippians 2 before you sit down. You're going to value other people above yourselves, and you're going to learn from them. And I love Romans 12. It says to outdo one another in showing honor. So if you arrive with arrogance, believing everyone needs to show you honor, that's going to go badly. So I'm really excited about all the holiday tables. If you're believing the best, you're curious, you're expressing concern and sharing your life, and then modeling for other people how to do that, I think you're going to have a great holiday.
I do too. That I'm excited for the Thanksgiving table this year. And Heather, I have to say that you mentioning in your book about that we can learn from every single person.
Yes.
Changer for me personally, because we have a young adult group that meets in our house every Thursday. And just the idea of walking into that conversation every single Thursday with, what can I learn from every single person?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It just got me really excited, made me really excited.
Yes. I love that.
Together. So you had mentioned a little bit about the Gen Zs earlier, and we were really startled about that. You said that your students really struggle with pathways to connecting, but specifically the Gen Z demographic, and we looked it up and Google had said that it was anybody 12 to 26. You said that the Gen Z generation is the loneliest generation, and they also claim to be in worse health than older generations. So for those of us who are in the older generation, what would your suggestion be for how we can really connect better with them?
Okay, well, I actually interviewed a real life teenager for this, and I do teach teenagers, or young adults. Mine are 19 to 21-year-olds, but there are questions that are a delight for them to answer. And I wanted to say this: even if they roll their eyes and act annoyed with you, they still love that you would have bothered to try to engage them. So even if it doesn't go well, you're going to take a step of faith to at least try. They will feel loved even if they're annoyed. So here are some questions that I have found great success with younger people. First is they do like to talk about frustrations and annoyances. So you could ask them like, what's been really frustrating this year? What's frustrated you most about your semester, especially if they're a student? They also like to talk about things they've tried, good restaurants, new songs they're listening to. And that's a delight. That's a spark question. The book calls it a spark question because it's questions that kind of release dopamine. Like, have you guys tried anything new for the first time? Have you tried sushi yet? Or, if they have tried something new, they like that. They are loving music. They love their Spotify playlists. They love to share what their on repeat songs are. Now, if you're from their generation and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you can just say, I've heard so many great musicians have released great albums this year. What song are you just obsessed with? Like my students love talking about music. They also love talking about physical spaces. So asking about what's new in their bedroom or their dorm room, they do like to talk about their space. And you could ask like, what's been cozy for you? Have you made any changes to your bedroom or dorm room? Young children, if they're younger Generation Z, and this is true of older people too, they love talking about their animal friends. So tell me about your pets and any silly things your pets have done. Okay, I just have a few more. Do you want me to keep going? I have 10.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, some teens, they do love the security of their phone. So one thing you can ask is about the phone. You can ask, hey, have you learned any iPhone hacks? Something new that you've learned about your phone. My students do love showing me new things. They also love it if you talk about like what's been a favorite picture on your camera roll. Or you can approach them by showing them a picture on your camera roll. And they'll be like, oh, that's a great picture, Aunt Sue. Let me show you something from my camera roll. That could happen. Okay, this is a really wonderful question that a teenager told me. They love to be complimented on something about themselves, and then asking how they got there. So for example, even saying something about their appearance, like your hair looks amazing. You've got to share your hair routine with me? What products are you using?
Right.
Teens love their products. So even face or hands, like you have beautiful skin. What is your skincare ritual? My daughter loves talking about her skincare ritual. They actually love talking about rituals in general, bedtime routines. Okay.
Right. Okay.
The other thing is the favorite name game in my class is what's your favorite way to procrastinate? And they'll tell you the funniest things, like what are they looking at on TikTok, or what games are they playing? Just say, you could even go around the table, be like, what's everyone's favorite way to procrastinate? Okay, I just have a few more, asking them what they're looking forward to, what's coming up for them that's new that they're looking forward to. You could venture into the cognitive and say, what have you been thinking about lately? Like what keeps you up at night? You could venture into spiritual, although that is the least favorite category, according to certain surveys of people I've done. They feel judged and stressed out if you ask about God. But you could say something like, has anything like supernatural happened, or have you seen an answer to prayer? They like talking about divine activity, but they don't want to feel judged. Okay. And then the last one, I thought this was genius. Kids don't want advice, but you could say, if you're a grandma, you could say to them, where in your life do you feel like you need the most advice right now? I'm not going to give advice unless you ask, but I'm curious, where do you feel like you need the most advice?
Interesting.
They'll open up about stuff they're struggling with. Like my daughter would say, well, I'm nervous about, did I choose the right major when I applied to Penn State? And then if you're a grandma, she may say to you, how did you decide your major? Or like, how did you know? So ask them where you need the most advice, but then say, I'm not going to give you any advice, but like, where do you need advice? So those are the top 10. And those are just ones I'm having success with. And, when you go to the animal friends, also don't forget, pretty much everyone likes to talk about their friends and their best friends. So you can't go wrong with music, friends, and pets, or the dorm room.
Right. Or the space.
So yeah. Yeah.
Well, Heather,
So-
we could talk with you all day long about this book and then some, but we want to be mindful of your time. So before we go, we have a question that we'd like to ask you. What question do you most enjoy being asked about this book, and how would you answer it?
My favorite question about this book is when people say, what surprised you most about the research? Like, what was the thing you really learned when you wrote this book? And the thing I learned the most, that's been the most life-changing for me, is what I learned about how to listen. Because nobody taught me what I was supposed to listen for. And what I learned was, if you listen to people, what you're listening for are their core values. And then you say to them, I can tell you really value this. So for example, based on the questions I just asked, say you're asking someone about their hair routine or their skincare routine, and they go on and on and on about their products and about things they do for their hair and face, or the clothing they're wearing. You could say to them, I can really tell that you value aesthetics. You value having a well-groomed appearance. And they'll say, I do, I really do. And you can honor and affirm that. You can say, that's wonderful. I know people who value aesthetics, and actually, I feel like that's you guys, Sue and I feel like you value it. You always present yourself in such a beautiful way. And so listen to what they value. If you ask them, what's your favorite way to procrastinate, and they go on and on about the guilt they feel because they're spending all their time on TikTok, you can say, I can tell you really value doing great work and having a strong work ethic. And I can tell you feel guilty, just model back what you're hearing. And that makes people feel so loved and heard and connected to you. And nobody does that well. If you watch as people have conversations, people don't do that well. And when they do it well, it's life-changing. You'll see that warm connection. You'll feel so loved. And it will be a game changer around the holiday table.
That's so neat. I am headed off to a business trip with my husband, and we're going to be meeting a lot of his colleagues. And I can't tell you how excited I am. Some conversations with goals. I'm really excited to learn about these people because I've never met them before. So anyway.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, you have gotten it started. So we're happy to tell you all about this book and encouraging you to go out and get it, because it's really a great book. Heather, thank you so much for joining us again today. And we really do wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving.
Ah, you too. You too. This has been so wonderful. Thank you.
Good. And friends, we also want to extend that blessing to you. We appreciate you so very much, and we thank God for you. And we do pray that your Thanksgiving is just the beginning of an amazing holiday season filled with deep and meaningful connections.
And we do want to encourage you to keep showing up at the soiree table. Check out our Facebook, Instagram, and our website for more details, because we are entering the season of giving. And we want to share a lot of fun surprises with you. And starts with today. We are going to have 2 autographed copies of Heather's newest book. And so you are going to want to see the details in our Facebook and Instagram pages and just stay in touch with us. Go check out our website too. Again, I was looking at it last night. There's some great podcasts, some videos. You don't want to miss that. So friends, we are so grateful for you. And we want to just say, may your week be sublime, and may you live each day free above the fray.
Happy Thanksgiving.